Okay, so as you'll notice, we have two files for the shapes animation. One is for the IK rig and the other is just the regular FK rig. All right, so you can see in an IK rig, instead of the arms and the feet being controlled at each joint as we were in the previous file, they are now being controlled by just simple IK constraints. Okay, so these are called IK constraints, IK controls. I am using the translate, which is G. I'm not rotating anything. It's just with the IK that I'm able to pull out this arm. I'm able to also pull out this foot. So we'll be using that in combination with these bones to make shape-based physics transforms. All right, for our glute and pec deforms. So I'm going to do Alt G here and Alt G here to clear the transformation. All right, so these aren't actual bones controlling this body. No, these are drivers driving shape keys. So how you know you're using a driver in this instance is you pull the bone and it doesn't follow you to the required point. So this shape key has a max point. But if you go to the physics file, for example, then I'm going to grab this bone so you can see it keeps following, it keeps following, it keeps following. That's a clear indicator that this is being controlled by the armature directly. This is being controlled by a driver. This bone is controlling the shape key values of the pec and equally also the glute shape keys. Okay, so let's make an animation with this. All right, so now that we have our animation, what we're going to do is we're going to add the spring bones effect to our physics bones so that they can drive our shape keys to produce the required physics animation based off the spring bones effect of these driver bones. All right, so we're going to go to the bone properties, then we're going to scroll down to spring bones, then we're going to check spring for each driver bone. All right, so then we are going to start in animation mode. So let's look. Now with this version, okay, we're not going to have the shape keys respond in real time. They're only going to respond after we're done with the baking. Okay, so the baking is predictably going to be straightforward because it's just a simple looping work cycle. So I'm just going to pause, then I'm going to select these bones, only just these bones. Then I'm going to go into pose as we've done before. I'm going to go to pose, animation, bake action, the frame range, the visual keying, the clearing of constraints, and then the overwriting of the current action. So I'm going to click OK. Now you can see our shape keys respond because the keyframes have been enabled on the driver bones. So we can also go ahead and stop the animation mode, then uncheck the spring feature from the bones. All right. Okay, so now you look at this and then you think that, okay, you are done. It's just for you to export the armature and you're good to go. Not quite, not with this file. Okay, with the last file you can do that and then you're good to go, but with this file you have extra steps to take. So with the shapes version of the animation, you have two at least animations to export. So you have a normal skeletal animation, that's .xaf, and then you also have a morph animation which controls the shape keys of the body. That's the shape keys that affect the pecs and also the glutes. So you're going to want to bake that onto the body. As you can see, we've selected the body now and there are no keyframes. If we go to the object data, you can see that there are no keyframes on the shape keys. So all we need to do to bake this to the body directly is we're going to go to our BPSK add-on. We're going to go to our BPSK maker add-on, and then we're going to select this as the target object, bake shape key animation. So you just have 32 frames independent of these drivers. The drivers still work obviously, but independent of these drivers, the animations have been set. All right, so I'm going to preview this animation for you to see. Then now you are ready for export, but as we did in the previous file, we're going to check the names of our actions in the dope sheet. So let's look for our animations and rename them. Now you are ready to export, so be careful with this particular file. This is the export method. You're going to go to the IMVU Studio Toolkit. By default it should be here. The first thing you're going to submit is because this armature doesn't hold what we want. All right, this control armature doesn't hold what we want. What we want is in a masked armature called anim. So the IMVU Studio Toolkit is designed to export anim in the way IMVU reads bones. All we need to do is click export. Then we're going to export the morph part of the animation by first selecting the body that you baked the animation on, to make sure once again that the animation is baked. Then you're going to shift select anim, which is right at the top of this. So you're just going to press Control, then select anim. Then you're going to go to export FBX. All right, so work, selected objects. Yes, you leave the animation on. You do not want leaf bones. Yes, you can leave that checked. And then you export your FBX. Okay, so we are in IMVU Studio now. All my avatar is wearing is the shape compatible body, that's the SB body, with a regular avatar from the IMVU store. Let's go ahead and import our animation. So we're going to go to import FBX. Okay, so this is the exported work cycle, and then this is the shape animation. So let us first import our work cycle. No, we don't need any of the meshes. We don't need any mesh. We don't need any materials. We just want this animation. And then we want the work cycle. So we're going to go to component, add a new action. We're going to call it work. Action type is avatar. Then the skeletal animation, we're going to anim work. We can loop it infinite times by changing that to 0, leave this on replace, then we apply, preview, and then play. Let's go ahead and import the physics aspect. You aren't importing the mesh. Then next, no, you don't want any materials. So it's exported the work cycle again, so you're going to uncheck that this time around. Then it has two morphs. You're going to look at the length of these morph animations. So this one is another morph because it ends at 50. What we want is the one that ends at 31, which is the length of our animation. Yes, that's all we want. Now we're going to configure this to also include the morph animation. So 0. So let's preview. All right, and that's how you go about making animations with the physics shape keys. So we've looked at the method for the bones. So let's look at what that looks like again. You can see the bones, they work independently of the shape keys. They can travel as far as they want. But of course, the limitation is the lack of compatibility with other IMVU store products. But the shape key method is more compatible with other IMVU products. So you can easily incorporate them in with other IMVU products already existing in the shop. They are reliant on shape keys, so they have limits. They can't be scaled directly with scalars, so they have limits. They can't be rotated, only translated with the aid of the drivers or independently. Okay, so I hope that this video has made this process clear. Let me know if you have any other questions concerning this topic. I will be on the lookout to help out with whatever issues you may be facing with executing this workflow. Questions, you can leave them in the comments area. Thank you for watching, and here is some more 3D videos.